You're listening to Podketeers.
Don't you usually go 1, 2, 3?
Usually I go 1, 2, 3, but this time I added a go just to make it easier.
It's
Okay.
special.
Yeah, and then we can do a sound check. Ready?
Special
The
episode.
hills are alive with the sound of coffee-infused
Hazing.
beer, coffee-infused oatmeal stout.
That sounds gross, dude.
It is not. It's so
It
delicious.
does sound gross.
No.
How dare you guys? It's so good.
I think it sounds good.
Oatmeal and
If you've had a
beer?
Guinness,
Yeah.
no, it's made like with oatmeal
It's
instead of wheat.
infused, the essence.
Yeah. The essence is infused. If you've ever had a Guinness, it's very close to the flavor of a Guinness,
So
but
why not
it
just
tastes
get
a
a
little bit
Guinness?
more coffee-y because this one has
Oh.
that coffee flavor.
What a BJ question.
It's like what really happened is, dude, we ran out of barley. Aha! Oatmeal. I have some oatmeal.
That's pretty much how it goes down, and that's how
like
craft
the
brewing
Jack in the
was
Box late night
born.
menu.
The munchie meals.
Yeah. We're gonna take a burger.
Those are
Ooh, I want some grilled
horrible, by the
cheese.
way.
We're gonna make a grilled cheeseburger.
Hey, they're kind of good when it's like late night after
Oh
partying.
yeah, for
so.
sure. But
Yeah,
we
there's
all
a
know
reason
who
they were
made
created.
Those, the menu.
So we're officially recording at this point. I guess if people are listening at this point, you're probably wondering what happened to the theme song.
Yeah, where'd it go,
Why
man?
no music?
Yeah.
Where's the intro? What happened? Hazing, you normally come on and you're like, welcome to episode blah, blah, blah of Podketeers. And you rant for 5 minutes. But what happened today? Well, good listeners, I will tell you what happened today. For starters, it is the 4th anniversary episode of Podketeers. So it's already exciting. We wanted to really get it started right. So just for all of you that are just nostalgic to hear my sultry voice, because you've been used to listening to it for 209 episodes, here you go. Welcome to episode 210 of Podketeers. If you guys have been following the podcast for some time, you guys would remember that, maybe saying it's the bane of my existence is taking it a little far. I'm being a little overdramatic, but there has been something that has been bothering me with the podcast. It has been the bane of my existence since the very beginning. And what is that? Do you guys know what the bane of my existence with the podcast is?
I know what it is.
What is it?
It's the music.
Yes! The music. So here's the deal. When we started the podcast, obviously, we wanted to make sure that we had something upbeat, something snappy, and we went online and started searching through all of these repositories for music that we felt was just going to represent Podketeers. And we ended up finding some music in the YouTube audio library because YouTube said, you know what, guys, we're going to let you use this music for your videos. We're going to let you use it for your podcast and stuffs and anything else that you want to. It's free. Go create. And so we did. The problem was that as time passed, the song that we chose for the Podketeers intro started appearing in random places. Places like, dun, 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 Facebook ads. And then, dun, 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 dog food commercials. Dun, 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 furniture commercials. And when I started seeing it all around the internet and on TV and like local stations, like super low budget ones too, where you would think like, seriously, you're using free audio? I started to really feel even more so than at the beginning that Podketeers really needed its own identity. We needed our own music. And the quest for our own theme song was born. And this was a couple of years ago. This is something I've been working on for a couple of years. And we never were able to find the right fit. We were never able to find that music. And we had several people try to help us out with this task. We also went on multiple sites where you could just buy pre-made music and try to find something. And we figured the more we pay, the better it will be because less people are likely to pay $80 for a track. that was not the case, because there was one that we had chosen that I thought, oh my God, this is so Podketeers, guys, and it's so Disney, like, woo! And then I heard it in some advertisements all over Facebook, and I thought, verbatim, okay? And so, I asked some friends, and thankfully we have a lot of friends that are not only artistic but musically inclined. And VJ put us in contact with a very good friend of his, a musician named Nick from up in the Bay Area. He goes by Panic City, and he's super talented. VJ introduced me to a mix that he had done on his SoundCloud account, and I flipped. I thought, oh my God, I think this is the guy that's going to create the music that we need. VJ and I work really closely with Nick to try to work on this theme song, and we were just blown away. But before we continue with the episode, I think it's about time that we debut our new theme song. What do you guys think?
Let's unleash it.
Yes.
Is everybody I'm excited. Like, this is the first time. I mean, look, the benefits of being a fairy godparent, part of the FGP Squad, was the fact that they got the chance to listen to this first before anybody else did. Before episode 209 launched, they had a chance to listen to this. So they were a whole week and a half ahead of everybody else. And now everybody else gets to hear. So if you guys are interested in becoming a part of the FGP Squad, more info on that shortly. But here we go, guys. This is it. The worldwide debut of the Podketeers theme song. Only wrestling fans are going to get this, but if I could get Jericho's countdown timer, just a... the Y2K countdown? Forget it. The point is, we got a new theme song. So here we go! With episode 210, the 4th anniversary episode, and a brand new theme song of Podketeers! That is the brand new way that Podketeers is going to be starting every episode now. I don't know about you guys, but I love our new theme song.
Yeah.
It's
Podketeers
epic.
is dropping mad
It's
beats, y'all.
epic.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes.
You know it.
It's just, you guys don't understand, like, this quest to have our identity, completed with a piece of music that I thought represented the energy of the podcast, and just, I just wanted something happy, and there it is. We have it.
Thanks again to Nick. Big shout out to Nick Panic City. Follow him on Instagram and all his social medias.
Yeah, all of his links will be available in the blog post for the episode. So podketeers.com/210.
Totally.
VJ, thank you very much for putting us in contact with Nick, because as you know, when I was talking to you about this whole process of this song, I mean, I don't think many people knew that I've been working on this for so long, and I just wasn't happy with what people were sending me. And this was it, man. It was the glass slipper.
Yep, I was gonna say we had
For
to
the
go
There
through
you
a
go.
lot of people.
Yeah, it was great, man. I'm so happy. We did end up getting some other music from other people that I worked with, and that music I think we'll be using for other projects in the future. But this song, it was so special to me. I can't stop talking about it. I'm just so excited. I'm just so happy that Podketeers just has its own identity when it comes to the music. Woo! Hope you guys like it. Leave us a comment. I know it's going to take some time to get used to it, especially if you guys have been listening for longer than episode 190 and on. It's going to take me some time, because 4 years into this, I've been listening to the same dun 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 dun.
Is that triple dent gum?
It is triple dent gum.
Or you could be like a listener from day one and be like, yay, it's this new stuff. So
Finally, right?
don't worry. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. It's all
Yeah.
good.
super excited. This is us leveling up, guys. So, Podketeers leveling up, and all of your support, all of your messages, all of your comments and feedback from when I see you guys in the park, all of our dreams together, I think, was really what helped make a lot of this possible. And I just want to say thank you, because without you guys listening, we wouldn't exist. You guys are the heart of the podcast. To all of our listeners, to everyone in the FGP Squad, thank you guys for your support over the last 4 years. I'm having so much fun doing this, and I hope that I continue having fun doing this for years and years and years and years to come with all of you guys. So thank you.
Hear, hear.
Woo! I'll drink to that.
Beers,
Yes.
cheers, and Mickey ears.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Cheers.
Coffee infused oatmeal stout. Cheers.
Dilly dilly.
I won't. I'm not gonna plug the beer that I'm drinking because they're not sponsoring us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you beat me.
I feel like Nick has got to be like an honorary Podketeer now, right? Because he's a full-on contributor.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come up with like our own Podketeers awards
Ooh.
and start handing those out to people.
Well, I mean, he has been to Pixar with me, so
Oh my god, that's awesome. We're gonna have to do like our own Podketeers Legend Award.
Oh, nice. I like it.
We're gonna have to
Ooh.
create that, and that'll be given out every 2 years at D23. I'll follow Bobby. I'll take the podium right after Bobby, and we're gonna have to be fast because we're gonna get kicked out of Hall H. So we just have to do it really quickly.
It'll be the opening act for the Disney Legends.
Oh.
So if we make it into the hall in the first place,
Oh, that's
Oh.
true.
we gotta
too
actually make it
soon.
in.
That's true. And the
Well-
last time it was so close.
so we'll do it during Alan Menken's after his, because there's a lot of time. They don't sweep you out as fast.
There you
True
go.
that. We'll just hide under the chairs. We'll get like a D23 jacket and we'll start pushing around carts with chairs and we'll just walk
what are we
right
talking
in.
about? We're Podketeers. We're gonna be backstage
Press
anyway.
pass.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Remember our media passes, right?
I'm gonna flash that picture of me and Tony Baxter and be like, "No, I'm with this guy."
There you go.
You guys ever see that meme of was it Wayne and Garth going through backstage with
Yes.
their access pass? Like
Uh-huh.
VIP,
Yes.
VIP,
Oh,
VIP,
yeah.
that's gonna be us.
That would be funny. I wanted to talk a little bit with all of you guys. We all have a bucket list, right? Whether it's a Disney bucket list, to travel all to the parks and stuff like that. Since you guys joined the podcast, is there anything that's on your podcast bucket list that you would like to achieve as part of the podcast? Because if there is, I think we should all work together to try to help each other's dreams come true. Whether it's something simple as break the record of how many times I write Pirates of the Caribbean in one day from rote drop to when they tell me to get out of the park.
Ooh, I'll take that
Right,
challenge.
Gavin?
That would be a fun one.
Yeah,
Well, Melissa
Yeah,
already
so-
did that, right?
kind of.
pretty much.
Kinda.
Unless eating and going to the bathroom,
Isn't that what diapers are for?
gross.
Give me an IV.
That's nasty.
That is not the pirate's life, sir.
Ironically, it might be the pirate's life. No, that's why you have to nibble. You have to take like small bites of granola bars and stuff like that so that you don't have to step away.
Yep.
Only drink enough to stay hydrated for
Gosh,
each
this
trip.
isn't
You're
Survivor,
good.
dude.
It is Survivor.
Right?
Survivor.
Challenge accepted.
Disney edition.
Right? I wonder if there is a record. Do you guys know if there is one for pirates? I know there's one for Mansion.
There
Oh,
is?
really?
But
What is it?
I think so.
In one day?
I don't know what the exact number. Yeah.
Well, Pirates
don't-
would be much lower because it's so much longer of an attraction.
How many hours in an operating day, and then how long the ride is, and the wait times? It's a lot of math.
That's a
my
lot of
Google
fast
search
passes.
is
It
just
is.
pulling up the ride soundtrack on vinyl, so it's using the wrong version of record.
So if you said 8 to midnight, what is that, 16 hours right there? And if you do
Oh, that's
twice,
true.
twice an hour, right? Maybe
But
you
what
can
if the park opens at 9 and the original record was set from 8 to midnight?
That's
You
true.
got
That's
to
what I'm
pick the
saying.
right day,
Or
man.
you're gonna have
Or-
to stay at the hotel so you could get extra magic hours, so you have 2 more Or you could ride it maybe 3 more
This
times.
is getting expensive.
What if it
We'll chip
happened on a
in. Let's do it.
24-hour day?
What?
Oh, that doesn't count. No, I does. I
Does
guess it
mean,
does,
Does
but
it?
that has to be for a 24-hour record.
So then there has to be several, right? Most times in a 24-hour period, most times in a standard park opening day.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got to find this answer because now I think we have to try to beat these records or set our own for other attractions.
So is that
Okay.
somebody's
Yeah.
bucket list?
No, I'm just saying, I just think it'll be cool.
But wait, okay, I like this idea, but let's do a pool and let's all put in a guess at what we think the record is. And
I don't know how to swim.
Shut up.
Stoops.
And whoever gets
Oh.
closest is
So
King of the
dumb.
Pirates.
What?
King
Or
Pirate at
King of the
Haunted Mansion.
Hitchhiking Ghosts.
No, we're guessing
King of
how
the
many
Hitchhiking
times
Ghosts.
they've ridden Pirates of the Caribbean.
If
Oh.
an official record exists.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess 18.
Okay, that's pretty solid.
I was
Melissa?
gonna say 16
Okay,
because I'm
still.
thinking about like my numbers and then figuring out 16 could be it.
Cool. AJ?
I'm gonna go big.
Ooh.
Well, I mean that's not that big. I'll say 25.
Whoa, that would be super
That's
impressive.
pretty solid. I mean, if somebody could do 25, that would be a difficult one to beat. But super fun trying to get it done.
Yes.
Actually, it is possible if they
Don't
pull
say
you to the
24
side
either.
Yeah,
Don't block
and
me.
not have
don't
to wait the whole queue.
true.
don't Price is Right.
I mean-
block me.
Yeah. All right.
I didn't say
VJ?
$1.
Dude, no joke. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say $1.
He's gonna say 24. and
No, I was
then-
actually going to do...
or whatever, I
I'm
don't
actually
know.
saying 22, thank you very much. Because if we're doing 8 a.m. to midnight, so that's 16 if you just do once an hour. And I'm factoring Phantasmic, so you could probably get in maybe 4 rides there. Yeah, so I'm going to say 22.
In the morning, though, you could probably crank a lot out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You're using logic
Yeah,
now.
I agree though. If it's a Phantasmic night, you can get like 4 rides in during Phantasmic.
Exactly.
So you said
Plus,
22?
if you have
doing
Max
22.
Pass, you can pretty much get Max Passes for a few of them and try to double up in that hour too, right?
If and when they turn
Yeah,
that
it doesn't
stuff-
even exist right now, so... As of yet.
Well, by the time I think we take the challenge, it should exist. At least we're hoping it will.
Oh wait,
Oh, we're taking the
wait,
challenge?
We're taking the challenge.
I'm assuming Gavin's gonna do it.
Gavin's raising his hand.
I'll do it.
I thought we were just guessing, like what the record would be.
So,
We are.
So
Oh, no,
Gavin
we
just
are.
has to do as many as he just said.
No. There's 2 separate things going
winner.
on here. We're doing a pool to see who guesses closest to if we can find an actual record, what that is.
Okay.
Aside from
Yeah.
that, I'm going to take on the record and see if I can beat it.
And I will take it on with you, sir,
Yes.
just for the fun of it.
I'll watch you guys. I'll go be
All
eating
right.
churros.
Right before midnight,
Just-
Hazen pushes Gavin out the boat. Just says, I got one more than you, buddy. And always hold
And
it
you know
over
what?
him.
I want to see how you guys are gonna be in the end. Cause
You guys
how delirious I want to see.
You guys need to
yes.
set up a little station right at the head of the line so that every time we get off the ride and jump back in, you can be ready with like little paper cups of water, like a marathon,
We're going to have
Just
counters.
flash it in
and
your
like, and like
face.
churros that we can munch on in line. And we'll be good to go. We can do this as a team.
Splash water in your face. Wake up, man. Get it
We'll
together.
have big
Lines of the
cutouts. It's like go Gavin go on these big like pieces of cardboard.
Everybody will be like, what the heck
Yo
is
ho,
going on?
yo
It's gonna be
ho.
right before the dog with the keys. The next cell over is just us holding signs for Gavin. You can do it.
Oh man.
that'd be
All right,
fun.
Hazen, what's your
Dude,
guess?
I'm so in.
What's your guess, dude?
Oh, what's my guess? $1.
Oh,
That's gonna be my guess.
that's not a good enough guess.
I'm gonna go with oh man, I feel like all the good numbers were taken already. You know what? I'll split the difference ish. Without doing lots of maths in my head, I'm gonna go with 19.
All right.
So that's gonna be my official number.
I wrote down all the
for
answers,
this.
so
Right on. So how do we start talking about this again?
Bucket list.
Oh,
Bucket
that's
list?
right, bucket list. Oh man.
Let's bring
Okay,
it back.
so-
Bring it back.
So our podcast bucket lists. If you guys could do anything that pertain to the podcast, what would it be? Gavin, let's start with you.
I think for me, my bucket list item here would be to use this to launch myself to a better podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't blame you.
Okay, LeBron.
Psych.
I'm gonna take my talents to.
The podcast in South Beach. No, I'm pumped about our crew here. We're the best podcast, so I'm sticking here. And honestly, like I just have that classic podcaster, dream of making this something that we can actually do part-time or full-time, and it's our job. I'd love to have the time to really invest in it to the extent that I'd like to do a lot more research, to get involved with all of our concepts that we've got in the works right now, and to really develop those. I mean, I would enjoy that to no end, and I think we are kind of on that path, and hopefully if we play our cards right, we can make that come true.
Right on, man. I love that. I second a lot of what you said. So, Melissa, how about you?
Really reaching for this one, but I'm gonna say Podketeers at Club 33.
Word!
Yes,
That's a good one.
I would love to experience with everybody, so
that would be
let's
amazing.
do it. Yeah.
Just no pictures in the restrooms, okay, guys?
Oh
no
man,
video.
come on now. It's such a good selfie.
What about the live photos?
I was gonna say, it doesn't my phone does live photos. I can't help that. That is a feature of my device.
Yep.
So I can't really help that. That's awesome. I love that one. So check for that one as well. AJ, what about you?
My bucket list item for Podketeers, and I know we have talked about it, I don't think on the podcast, but doing a live episode,
Oh yes.
I think that'd be really cool to do. And
Yeah.
Podketeers live.
That would be amazing.
Podketeers live at Comic-Con.
Oh,
Okay, baby steps. Baby steps.
Okay, baby steps.
I've never
okay.
even been to
I
Comic
love that
Con,
idea.
so
Me here. Same here.
I've heard it's sweaty and smells like sweat.
yeah, that'd be a lot.
Yeah, I'm kind of afraid of it. Yeah, that's a great one. I've always wanted to do a live episode. I don't think we've ever had the means of doing it, but the way technology's going these days, I mean, with Instagram Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, man, we're getting so much closer, and I think that's going to happen soon. So that's a great one, AJ. VJ, what about you?
Well, everybody took all my answers. Just kidding.
Sorry.
No, but on top of to kind of segue with everybody's, it would be cool when we do our own Disney commercial for Disney.
yes.
Oh.
So if we're in a Disneyland ad, we're like, that's us right there.
Oh, that would be awesome.
But I also
Oh,
want I mean, there's so
dude.
much for this podcast. Like Gavin was saying, we have so many ideas, and doors hopefully will be opening up for us where we get to go to Club 33 to try the new menu that Andrew Sutton's going to be making for us personally, right? And we don't have to pay for it. That'd be cool too.
Or party at 21 Royal,
Hashtag Sutton on Podketeers.
Goals.
right?
Or if we are doing a live stream, maybe we'll be with the row of the other radio shows that are like at DCA. That'd be cool.
Yes.
But I just want to have like a press pass so we could go see all the
Yes.
cool stuff of D23 and interview all the celebrities for the movies that are going to be coming out. That'd be
That
real
would be
cool.
sweet. Yes.
That would be awesome as well.
Hashtag
And-
goals.
Right?
And a red carpet event.
You guys have some great ones.
For one, babe.
I know, sorry. He said bucket list. That's
Yeah,
a list.
it's a
Bucket list item.
Yeah. We'll go around again
Well, I
and
go
do
big.
bullet point 2.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that again if you want. If you guys have extra ones, that's great. I think I've had a lot of bucket list items for the podcast, and the fact that you guys have the same type of bucket list items and dreams for the podcast just honestly warms my heart. Like, I can't tell you how excited I am to have you all a part of the team, hearing you guys say all of this. So for my bucket list item, I'm going to tell you what my number one thing that I would want to come out of the podcast one day. And I know that this is really shooting for the stars, because compared to some other sites and other podcasts, we're still growing. We're still very small. But one day, my goal is for us to sit down and talk to Bob Iger and interview him for the podcast.
Yes.
I think that if we got to that status, we made it.
Nice.
That's when we're like, yeah, boy, we did it.
I like
Agreed.
it.
I'm already flash forwarding to that interview and going at the end of the interview saying, so Bob, where's our podcast booth? Where's our studio going to be in?
Yeah, exactly. So we're getting our own Radio
office?
Disney
right
booth.
there?
Yeah, I think that would be kind of like my ultimate bucket list item. I mean, all the other stuff, it's just icing on the cake, right? Everything that you said is certainly on my bucket list, but Gavin, you talked a lot about, making this into something that's bigger, that we could maybe sustain our lives on and stuff like that. When we first started the podcast, if you guys have been listening for some time, you guys have heard this story before, but when we first started the podcast, the reason I started it was because at my old job, I honestly felt like my creativity was dying. My job was so cookie cutter. Every day I was bored, and I spent so many hours in traffic, I didn't have any time to be creative. And the podcast was my way to force myself to do something, to learn something new, to be creative, and talk to my friends. And it turned into that. It pacified that need for me. And then it began to grow. And so now, maybe in our third year, I think, is when I really began to feel that maybe Podketeers could actually become a podcast where this could be our jobs. That's really where I think the conversation started about building a team, and building not only a team, but a team of people that are just passionate about what they do and what they talk about, and just building out what we've started. So Podketeers was the first step. Creating our identity with the theme song, has rounded out that idea. And I'm so excited, guys. I almost feel like I'm going to begin to cry if I keep blabbing right now.
Don't cry. She said, I'm going to cry.
I'm just,
Nope.
You guys don't understand. I'm just so excited and so happy.
Talk amongst
A little bit.
Sorry,
Like,
audience.
I'll give you a tour.
like, it might be the beer talking, guys, but I'm just going to tell you, I love you all. I love you all. Yeah, I could sit here and praise each one of you and tell you guys how much I care about each one of you, but
Okay, you can start.
I
Go
will
ahead.
start crying at that
We'll
point.
start with Melissa.
Tell us
BJ,
more.
I'll start with you. Again, I just can't say enough good things about you guys and how much I appreciate you guys jumping on board and helping us create, what the next chapter of Podketeers is, and the next chapter of leveling up.
Totally.
Maybe that's the name of this episode. I'm gonna call it leveling up, because why not?
I like it.
I was gonna say, I thought we were like
I-
Marvel, doing phases, phase 2, phase 3. We're gonna be doing it more than 20 years.
Ooh. Well, we're 4 years into it, so where would we be right now? Iron Man 3.
Oh my gosh.
What suit number?
Suit number 29, Mark 29. I don't know. So cheers, everyone, to the next phase of Podketeers, to use VJ's term, leveling up, whatever you want to call it. The point is that I'm having fun doing this, and more than ever before, I think I'm having fun with you guys. And now that we're all going to be able to head out to the parks, with Gavin moving out here from Oklahoma just to be close to Pirates of the Caribbean, I mean, that's huge. If you're moving out specifically for a ride and then Podketeers is your consolation prize, that's amazing.
That is. Living the life.
Right? So let's get into some Disney stuff, shall we? I
Yes.
know we've been talking a lot about the podcast and stuff. Let's talk some Incredibles 2. Can we talk Incredibles 2?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I'm so psyched about this. Initial thoughts. Let's go around. VJ, let's start with you this time.
Do we want to start with Incredibles or we want to start with Bao?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, let's start
I
with
had
Bao.
questions about that.
Yeah, let's do Bao.
Wait, are we doing spoilers
Yeah.
for the movie as well?
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
It's been 2 weeks.
I think so. It has been 2 weeks.
We'll give a spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's make this the official. Spoiler warning, 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 warning.
You've been warned.
There's a lot about Bao that I think can be interpreted in many different ways. So, Disney for 2, let's start with you guys. You guys saw The Incredibles 2, you guys saw Bao. What were your thoughts on the short?
So when we first saw Bao, or Incredibles 2 and Bao opened up, I was so excited to see this because I heard a lot of different hype about it, from it being directed by a female and all the Asian influences, from foil around the stove to there's all these little hints, you know, that, oh, we all grew up like this, or at least I did, right? I'm the only Asian one on Podketeers. So
Pacific Islander, calm down.
So I did see a lot of the stuff that I was like, oh, okay, that's how I grew up. When it was going, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, the Bao is now alive. Okay, the mom's feeding it. It just took a weird turn, and then it just threw me for a loop. I was so like, what the heck is going on? And me and AJ and our friend Panda, we were talking about it like, what happened after the movie? We were like, I didn't get it. Like, what was going on? And then just thinking about it, now that I've been able to process it, I should say, it was just how growing up, how a lot of Asian parents are very strict. They always want their kids next to them, you know, and doesn't let them go. You can't, like my dad would always, you know, let me go play basketball, but I only had 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, it takes 10 minutes to get to the park. I could have to wait up for a pickup game. By the time I get there, I'm going to have to come back. But Asian parents are very strict like that, you know. The scenes where Bao couldn't play soccer with the other kids or couldn't go out, you know, because there's parties or whatnot as he was growing up. I started to realize, I'm like, oh, that was actually my life, you know. But when the mom ate the Bao, spoiler, first off, I went, what the heck is going on? And how old is that dumpling? To me, it was representing like she just didn't want to let him go, and just like, okay, now he's always with her by eating him. That's what I got from it, like after thinking about it. But during the movie, I was just, what just happened, you know? And I didn't get it. I didn't, till the very end. I'm like, okay, now there's a son, like what's going on? At first reaction, it was confusing, but after thinking about it, I'm like, okay, she just wanted him to be with him the whole time and had a hard time letting go, like a lot of Asian parents do. Like me, my dad, we had a battle. Like when I was moving out, he was saying, oh, if you go out that door, you can't come back. And I was like, what? All right, I'm out, you know. But he was trying to push me to say, like, you could handle anything out there. I've already prepped you, right, you know, everything. And yeah, I did get the whole meaning behind the whole short, you know. So what I thought was good, confusing at first, but thinking about it, I thought it was great.
Yeah, those are cool insights, man.
Yeah.
I totally appreciate that, because I didn't get a lot of that same kind of stuff. I got a really different kind of vibe from it. So that's awesome. And like Hazen said, this thing can be seen in so many different ways. So I'm interested to hear what everybody's thoughts are here.
What about you, AJ?
Well, my first thought of Bao was, I thought that her and her husband couldn't have children. So that's where I thought it was going. So I thought the Bao was her child, like she was taking care of the child, and you see she has it in its little like baby carrier, and she's watching him play soccer, or you know, doing all like the kid stuff. So that's where I thought it was going. And then all of a sudden, like, she eats the Bao, and and then you see that it actually was representing her son, and she's afraid of letting go, and he's moving on, he's growing up, you know. It's only natural, right, that he has now found love and moving out and moving on. So yeah, I just didn't get why she had to eat it. That was the weird part for me. I still don't really quite understand that. I think BJ, you didn't mention it in your explanation right now, but you said, was she eating her feelings, like eating the bao?
Oh, that's an interesting take on it.
Maybe that was the symbolism. I don't know. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really great to see a different story being told and a different culture being represented by Pixar. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Just please explain to me why she had to eat the bao.
I'm gonna go with she was super hungry.
Okay.
Mel, let's go with your thoughts on it.
Okay, so I didn't really know much about it going into watching the movie. So when I was watching it, I kind of got the feeling that she was like really good at cooking and she was passionate and she loved this little masterpiece that she made. And when you make something and you're really proud of it, you know, you want to take care of it no matter what. And you're like, sometimes people, they make their food and they make their dishes and they're so proud of it. And they're, you know how when they take pictures and whatnot, so that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So I thought of it as like, okay, she's proud of it, but then she started taking it out to places and it started sprouting legs. And I'm just confused. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the little goatee.
The goatee.
Yeah, exactly.
The little,
Maybe.
the little glasses, I think, were like the cutest addition.
And then I'm wondering, okay, there's got to be some, there's a metaphor. There's got to be a metaphor. That's what I saw it as. And when she ate it, I'm like, whoa, what just happened? The theater in, just, you heard the laughing, you heard the confusion, and then you heard the, what? Like, that moment happened. At the end, it's just like, it was a really good twist because you saw her son come back, and it's just like, whoa, now that you see it in that sense, that it was her son, you heard some sniffings and whatnot, and you felt that. But I was so confused for the first half. I loved, AJ, you pointed it out. I love how you pointed out a brand new culture. I love what Disney's doing. I want to see more. I want to see a little bit more of why. Like, I just need some more information. But it was a roller coaster ride. And at the end, I looked at my niece, and she looked at me, and we're just like, what just happened? Like, we were so confused.
What
But it was
happened? She didn't even add soy sauce. Just ate them like that. No hot mustard, no nothing.
Oh, you need that.
But it ended
I'm
up being a
hungry now.
sweet story. I mean, no pun intended, but it ended up being a really good story. It just, very interesting.
Yeah. Awesome. Gavin, what about you?
Well, first of all, let's just say welcome back Pixar shorts, because in the last Pixar movie, we got a little ripped off. So I'm so glad that we have a Pixar short in front of a Pixar movie again. And, you know, it just feels like home when you've got Pixar introducing Pixar. And, you know, we've kind of all touched on the emotion of this piece. And I feel like Pixar does such a great job of just pulling on your heartstrings and getting you in an emotional state even before they start the feature film, right? And I think this movie does that perfectly, or this short film does that perfectly. My interpretation of this is that it's a couple, and specifically a mother, who's dealing with the early stages of having an empty nest. And she's projecting all of this onto this dumpling that she's made, right? To me, this dumpling never actually comes to life. And all of this takes place like in kind of a snowball moment of reminiscing and memories for this mother. And she's seeing this kind of upbringing and this growing up take place like right before her eyes. She's remembering her son through this adorable little dumpling that she's, you know, envisioning this through. And so to me, she never leaves that kitchen table. It all happens in her mind kind of all at once in a flash. And when the emotions get too strong for her, she can't take it anymore. She just puts the dumpling in her mouth and is like, I can't deal with this right now. And that's kind of what that whole segment is to me. And then we kind of see her transition into the bedroom scene where she's kind of laying there sobbing and just, depressed and sad that this part of her life is over and a new chapter's starting. And I'm not a parent, but, I remember seeing the emotions that my parents experienced when I left home. And, I can see how that happens. And then, yeah, when the son returns and his head and his haircut make kind of the dumpling shape, it's freaking adorable.
Yeah.
And you kind of instantly get it. You're like, oh my gosh, she's just struggling with this time, and this idea of this person that's been a part of my life and that I've loved and that's been here every day is not here anymore. And that's a struggle. And we can all relate to that in various ways. And I love the moment, though. My favorite moment of the whole thing is when the son is kind of standing there in the doorway, not doing anything. And you see the dad just kind of sneak around the corner and just shove him into the room and shut the door. Like, you guys have to deal with this. And, and then it becomes just the sweetest, most beautiful moment ever. And that's where Pixar soars. I love what they do in their short films. And that's why they create the best short films. I love it. And the other thing that I love about this is that they do it all without dialogue. There's not a single word spoken in this film, and it translates to the viewer so many ideas and emotions. And even if you have a direct connection with this like VJ, or you have a feeling of confusion like Melissa, you feel these emotions. And that's just so amazing. What they can do with these animated characters and the expressions they make and just the actions that are expressed in these little short films. I think this thing was like 6 minutes long, but you feel like you went on this whole journey. And gosh, I could go on and on and on about it, but I think this encapsulates why Pixar is such a great filmmaking company. And I'm a huge fan of them and what they do, and I can't wait to see more shorts. I hope they never stop this tradition because it's a great tradition that they do.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. The characters were just so expressive. And I don't know what your beef is with Lou, but I liked Lou.
I thought you were talking about Frozen.
Yeah, I was talking about
That's what I thought so,
Olaf's
too.
Frozen
In
Christmas
Coco.
Oh, is that what you were talking
Yes.
about? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was
sorry.
like, wait, what is
Well, it shows what you know. I just
I like
blocked
Lou.
that out of
Lou
my
is dope.
brain.
Yeah, Lou was
really
pretty good.
good.
I was talking about the only time they did a Pixar movie and they led with a Disney short.
And they led with an
a Disney
entire
long
Disney
movie.
movie.
Yeah, a Disney long, and then they
Yes.
pulled it after 2.5 weeks because it didn't work. So
Wasn't
Wow.
needed.
yeah, but I'm just glad that they had a Pixar short in front of a Pixar movie because that's
That's funny.
what it needs to be.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, for everything that you guys have said about the film, I think you all raised really good points. I felt all the confusion. I felt all the feelings. I felt everything that you guys said you experienced. But I think when I saw the mom laying in bed, I understood what you were saying, Gavin, that, parents go through this stage where they're getting ready for this empty nest syndrome, right? And she just felt that depression. You said you understood it because you felt it when your parents, when you were leaving and your parents were going through that. At the end of this short, it was so weird because I left wanting to go hug my mom.
Nice.
At the end, I just felt like I needed to go see her and give her a big hug. To me, it spoke a little differently. I felt that the entire thing took place while she was laying in bed. Like, It felt like it was just a dream to her, that none of it actually happened. It's very similar to what you were saying, Gavin, where it's kind of like the snowball of things right before she ate the dumpling. But for me, it felt like she was in this state of depression, laying in bed, and it was all kind of a dream that she experienced, and the guilt that she felt from wanting to have her son, like what you said, AJ, it was just like keeping him there, eating your feelings. That's how she dealt with it, right? So I felt it was more a story of her being really depressed about her son leaving. But yeah, it was, the entire thing was just so touching because of how they told the story. You're absolutely right about just the expression and how much they extracted from those characters. It's certainly something that is, it's something Pixar's great at, right? And we've seen it like with Wall-E. I mean, so much of Wall-E at the beginning completely without dialogue, and it's not just like a little short. It's the majority of that film has no dialogue, and it's so expressive. Like when Eve and Wall-E are flying around when they do the Define dancing scene, it's so expressive, and these robots don't even have real faces, right? You're making that connection and you're creating that face because of how it's built. Yeah, man, those little glasses on that little dumpling and everything, super cool. If there's anything that I've taken from this, though, is that I don't think I can ever eat a dumpling without the fear of it yelling. So if putting soy sauce on that is going to help VJ, maybe I'm just going to have to put soy sauce on every dumpling that I eat going forward. But it was touching. I really enjoyed it. It's certainly up there. All these Pixar shorts, man, they get so cerebral. You know, and I think that as we begin to see a more diverse take, you know, it's been, I don't want to say it's been very linear, because there has been a lot of diversity in the shorts, but I don't think we've ever seen this much diversity where it really takes on just an entire culture and how they act with their children. I think we may have seen it a little bit with Sanjay's Super Team.
Yeah, I was thinking
but
of
I
that
think
one.
this one hit a lot more on those key notes. So, yeah, I mean, leave us your thoughts on what you guys thought about Bao when you guys saw it. If you guys connected with it in any way that any of us connected, you know, join the conversation on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or tell us how you interpreted the short film. Was it, you know, just, did you connect with it on a cultural level? Did you connect with it because you're a mother? I can tell you that as a father, I do kind of understand what our parents have gone through, and I know eventually I will go through, because I mean, the ages my kids are right now, it seems so cliche, but you do feel like you blink and all of a sudden they're 8 years old, right? And I can completely empathize with this mother in this. It's an animated short, and I feel like empathy towards her. You know, it's so strange that she's not even real, but the feelings that were portrayed in the short film, like, I felt them, you know? So leave us a comment. Tell us what you guys think before I start crying. So I'm going to take a sip of my beer, and we're going to continue by talking about The Incredibles 2.
Yay!
Yes.
I mean, where to start? Should we start with the fact that the opening weekend of Incredibles 2 was absolutely incredible?
Yes.
Breaking records.
Yep.
Launching with 180 million in just
told
under
you.
5,000 locations all around the U.S. It beat the previously held record by Finding Dory, which was at 135 in 2016. 14 years in the making, guys. Your thoughts on watching Incredibles 2. Melissa, let's start with you.
So awesome and so worth the wait. I really, really, really appreciated that they took the first 2 minutes. Everybody that was on the cast and the crew, they took the time to say thank you. They knew it was 14 long years, and they the way that they acknowledged it was awesome in the beginning. I got chills the moment the castle opening.
Yeah, that castle opening scene was dope.
Yes.
And the themed Pixar
Yes.
opening. Which
Yeah.
I don't know
yeah,
if there's
yeah, it
ever
was all
been a
red.
themed Pixar opening,
Yes.
has there?
That might be the first one.
Yeah, that was so cool.
It was. I'm like, oh, it's happening. This is
Yeah.
cool. And I want that as a poster or a T-shirt. Either one. You're welcome. But oh my gosh, every Pixar movie, there's something that just goes up, and skill, you just see a difference in every movie. And in this one, the details and everything, the colors. Can we start with the sunset in the first action scene with the monorail?
Sure.
Those colors,
Yeah.
oh, so pretty. They're so pretty. And it's just the details to that is just crazy, especially when she's flying through. Like, was she flying through or was she falling through?
She's flying through.
At worst, she was falling with style.
True
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Just, yeah. Just the details on all that. I mean, I thought it was awesome. That and the water effect at the motel.
Yeah.
Good job, Pixar. Good job.
I know.
I want that house.
Yes.
Oh, the
It's
house
on
is
Zillow.
amazing. Yeah, it is.
I don't know. I don't think we ever had a chance to talk about that, but the Incredibles mansion from Incredibles 2 was on Zillow. We'll put a link for it in the blog post for the episode. It's pretty cool to go into the listing and see all the photos from it. I want to go to there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
AJ, what did you think?
I thought it was incredible.
No
No one said it yet.
There's one in every group.
I've been waiting 14 years like everyone else, and man, it was so good to go back to the characters that we have grown to love. I mean, our dogs, they're named Ash and Violet. Like, obviously, we love The Incredibles, so super happy that they came out with a second one. It didn't disappoint. I really enjoyed it. I just loved everything. I don't know. Trying to think of just a couple things. Of course, the music, both old and new, that was added. Michael Giacchino, shout out. We're BFFs
Shout
now.
out. Yeah,
Just kidding.
Kino.
Hashtag Michael on Podketeers.
Yeah.
Mike G on Podketeers.
So that was really awesome. I love the music. What else?
Edna mode.
Yes. Oh my gosh, thank you. I knew I was thinking something. Okay, I'll just say one of my favorite parts was the part where Edna was babysitting Jack Jack. Oh my goodness, that was hilarious. And she was so excited. I was a little shocked about that. How willingly she took him and was going to babysit him for how long was it? Was it 12 hours, 17?
Overnight.
Overnight?
Yeah.
They said how many hours though, right?
He
Well,
slept for 17.
He slept for 17, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was at least 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Edna
And-
Mode is savvy. She can spot an opportunity, and that's exactly what she did.
That's true.
Pounced
Yeah.
on it.
And when Jack Jack was acting like her and walking with her little, with his little lollipop. Oh
so
my goodness.
adorable.
It's amazing.
And then did the hand scan and the eye thing, and
And the
then
voice
the voice.
recognition.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that was so good. It was just all so good, and I think that they left it off at a good spot where BJ and I were talking about this. We feel like there might be another one.
Yes.
It did. It's done so
Yes.
well. It's going to continue to do really well, and now that supers are legal, you never know.
Yeah.
We might see a third installment of
So look for number 3 in
Incredible.
2032.
Yeah.
another 14
gosh.
years. Hopefully not. And we also got to see it in a theater with Dolby
was
digital
Dolby Cinema.
surround
Ooh.
sound. It was,
Oh.
yeah,
Fancy.
that was our first time.
Cool.
Did you feel that it made a difference? Because we
Oh.
saw it in IMAX.
It made a difference.
Really?
So
We were like in it. You could feel it.
Nice.
I've been doing research as far as what theater to see this in, and movies we were like, okay, do we see it in IMAX? Because it was, if it's filmed in IMAX, like Infinity War, then I'll do it. If it's filmed in 3D, then I'll do 3D. But I don't think it was filmed in any of that, so I went for the sound and size. So that's why we went to a Dolby Cinema theater,
right
and
on.
there's not too many here in LA or Orange County, I should say. So we went to the Norwalk one. If you look inside, there are like 50 subwoofers at the top, so many behind the screen, all on the side. Everything is lit up red because the speakers are just glowing. And then I've never
Nice.
felt your chair, like we had reclining leather chairs. Like we were rumbling because the subwoofers were below us. Like everything, we're like, oh my god, it was crazy. Definitely recommend it. I want to see Infinity War in that.
Field
in that
trip.
theater.
What was
right?
the difference in ticket price compared to going to like an AMC or Edwards or something?
You know, it's weird because this was still an AMC, but it's cheaper than most AMCs that we've been to, like Downtown Disney or the Block at Orange. This was, I think we saw it at 13.25. And it was a late night movie, so we saw the last.
Interesting.
It was like at 11:15 when we saw it,
Dang.
and it wasn't too
Okay.
crowded, but yeah, just the sound alone and the size of that theater was dope. So definitely gonna go back there to watch another one, or maybe see
Dude.
Incredibles 2 again.
Imagine hearing all 32 notes of the THX in that theater.
No, you have to. It's definitely crazy because you go to like the DTS ones or IMAX and everything. Like, I think this has the best sound out of all
Nice.
theaters that I've
Wow.
ever been to.
Is
That's
the
cool.
theater curved in any way so that the acoustics bounce off better and they don't get trapped in the corner? Like, could you see that, or was it not visible?
I don't know. It didn't seem like it was curved too much.
Okay.
But I mean, when you go in, you just see speakers. Like every 3 feet is a speaker. You're just like, this is
Nice.
nuts.
Wow. That's
It's like
cool.
somebody said, no, we just need 24 speakers. And then somebody from Dolby said, okay, let's put 5 times more many speakers. It was insane.
I'd
but
hate
as
to be
far
in the
as-
theater next to that.
That's just like the first part. But see the top?
Are all those red lights
Those are speakers.
Yeah.
And that's not even including the
Nice.
speakers behind the screen and behind us and above us and underneath us. There's speakers everywhere.
Under your
Wow.
seats. And
No, seriously, they are underneath the seats because you
Wow.
rumble. Like, there were parts where doors slam and you're like, oh, whoa, that kind of scared me.
Did you ever feel like I should have worn earplugs?
No, it
No.
wasn't
No?
too. It wasn't like. Imagine if it was sound that was just, you were just perfectly surrounded. It wasn't, say, one speaker and each corner just blaring. It was nice, even sound, so it didn't seem
Nice.
forced. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But to the movie, I mean, people know that Incredibles, the first one, is my favorite Pixar movie. This one, I was just like, oh, thank you. It is weird to kind of know what was going to happen. Like, we all had our theories of, oh, this is going to be like Elastigirl's movie. And it was. It's like everything we thought of, but they twisted it just a little bit so we could still be entertained. We're like, whoa, didn't see that coming. Elastigirl, her powers are dope. Like,
heck yeah.
some of the things that she did, I could not. I want to know how the people at Pixar came up with some of these ideas. Like watching Fantastic Four, and you see what's his name? What's the
Mr.
Reed.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Mr. Fantastic. She blows him out the water. Like some of the stuff, I'm like, Mr. Fantastic, you need to take some notes on what Elastigirl could do, because yeah, it's
On
just
the
insane.
motorcycle.
Yeah,
On
on the
a
motorcycle.
Yeah.
Oh, the motorcycle.
That was crazy.
I love how everybody came back to redo the voices except for Dash, because I
Of
forget
course.
I forget who the kid was who did his voice in the original one, but he grew up. But the person who
Spoiler
did his voice, did his voice in the second one, I thought was just like on
Spot
par.
on.
Get it?
Yeah.
Oh.
No pun intended.
Par. And I
Wow.
thought everybody's character arcs were so great, like from Elastigirl to Mr. Incredible, like seeing the struggle and saying like, I'm going to do this so then I could be out there later. I have to do this. And for him to be like, and maybe Hazen will point this out, him wanting to be the best dad for his kids, you know? So that was cool. I love, what's her name? Evelyn, the sister of, oh my gosh, The one who
I think
created
it's
all
Evelyn.
the tech. Evelyn,
Yeah,
right?
Evelyn.
Yeah.
Dude, she looked like she's been through the ringer.
Evelyn,
Like she was.
She's
how do you say her?
always
Like,
drunk, right?
Devore? Devore?
Yeah.
But I was going to say, did you guys, to me, I thought, and maybe Gavin, you picked up on this, her animation seemed 3 steps high, like better quality than everybody else's. Like she picked up on the mannerisms of everybody, you know, like just normal humans, from the way we slouch to looking tired to like her shoulders were down, you know, like everybody
Having
else
one too
seemed
many
very
drinks.
yeah, exactly. But she seemed more lifelike than everybody else, because like Mr. Incredible was very stiff. Even when he was like tired, he was still hunched
Yeah.
over stiff. So I thought her animation was very cool. You know, she looked more human than everybody else. The I guess the bad guys that were good, you know, like the new superheroes that they had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like at first when you're watching it. I was like, man, these superheroes kind of
What?
look like the C string. Like they're not very, you know, they're not up there. But then after seeing how they become villains, I was like, okay, because they look more like villains than, you know,
Yeah.
superheroes. So I
Yeah.
thought that was a cool twist when they made them to villains. I was like, okay, now they look perfect for it. And then when, yeah, so yeah, so much great stuff about this movie.
I know.
You know,
Just choose your favorites, babe.
I know.
Hazen
sorry.
and Gavin still have to
You
go.
can't.
It's incredible. See it. I can't wait to see it again. But yeah, Jack needs his own movie.
Oh,
Yes.
for real.
Or a series of
Yes.
shorts, at least.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Like they did Mater's Tales,
But-
right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my favorite, like, I just lost it, was Jack versus the raccoon.
Yes.
Oh, that was
Oh
good.
my God.
Awesome.
That was so good.
The raccoon's like, what? What are you going to do? Oh, no.
Yeah.
They need to do a bunch of shorts like that. That would be awesome.
Yep.
Just battles. I was like, hey, Rocket's in here? You know?
Right?
Oh, Trash Panda. Gavin, your thoughts on Incredibles 2?
Oh man, I've got so many thoughts on this movie.
But you only have 30 seconds because VJ took up all the
I
time.
can't.
Yeah.
Sorry
I
again.
can't.
Oh, we have a time
29,
limit on podcast?
28,
No, I'm kidding.
27.
So look, this movie is amazing. I think we're kind of all in agreement there. What they did, you know, serving the fans of the original Incredibles was perfect. You know, they gave us everything that we've been craving for 14 years. They did a great job of it. They did an amazing job with the story. You know, they did kind of a flip the script idea where, you know, instead of Bob's turn, it's Helen's turn to kind of be in the limelight. But they did it in a way that it didn't seem like a repeat at all. You know, it was
Right.
fresh. It felt like a new story. The other thing I love that they did with the story is they gave the rest of the characters a chance to come to full fruition, which is why we wanted a sequel for this movie in the first place, right? We wanted to see the whole family participate in heroic adventures now. You know, we get that one moment at the end of the film where it's like, oh, yes, they're going to be awesome at the end of Incredibles. And now in Incredibles 2, we get to see that play out. And I love that. You know, it's just so cathartic to finally see, you know, even though the parents are still trying to be parents and protect the kids are kicking butt in this movie. They're just awesome. They're developing their own personalities and their own storylines. I thought Dash was hilarious. I
Yeah.
thought Violet's story, especially on the romantic side, was totally engaging, and the scene at the Happy Platter was just amazing. The water coming out of the nose was just brilliant. I love that moment. And you know, back to what VJ said, it just shows that desperate desire for Bob to just be the greatest super dad in the world, and he's failing, but he's just trying so hard. You know, and eventually he gets it. And, you know, we talked about Edna Mode, and Edna Mode was great. We got to see a lot more of her
Yeah.
personality come forth and kind of her motivations in this movie. And that was really entertaining. But I tell you what, for me, it's Jack that steals the show in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He was so entertaining. The fact that his powers are still being revealed to us, we're discovering new powers. They're entertaining at every angle. and to watch the other characters in the film discover, oh my gosh, this kid has powers. Oh my gosh, this kid has crazy powers. And
Yeah.
I just love all the reactions to Jack Jack. And yes, the raccoon scene was priceless. That to me is the highlight of the film. I absolutely love it. So on the story level, I really love what they did. I thought they kept it creative and fresh, and I love the way that this movie starts the second the last movie ended. I thought that was great, and I thought they did a great job of just rolling it into the next adventure. And if they do another one, I kind of hope they do it similar, but I don't know. I'll be honest, I'm hoping they kind of leave it where it is, just because of the number of Pixar sequels we've already had. The artwork for this movie is incredible. It's really amazing. When you think back on the original movie, you know, we're a full generation of animation advancement, you know, from the original movie, and it shows. And the textures, the lighting, the effects, the environments, everything is just so lush and detailed, and the details are just exquisite in every single scene. And it just really shows. You know, I always maintained that The Incredibles was kind of the last Pixar movie that I feel like it's okay to own on DVD instead of Blu-ray, because they hadn't really gotten to that just really fine quality that they reach with like by the time they get to Up is really where they kind of hit the next level, where the quality is just pristine. So it's weird to see the differences, and I think that the character differences they handled pretty well. My one well, I guess I have two character criticisms, and VJ kind of hit on it, where the female villain, what was her name again? Evelyn. I felt like she was much more contemporary in an animation style than the rest of the characters, because they were trying to maintain that original stylistic look. Right. But with her, not so much. Like, even her brother seemed to fit in better with the Incredibles universe than she did. I felt like she kind of stood out a little bit and didn't quite fit the aesthetic of the rest of the characters. I thought she was animated very well. I thought she was great, but I just thought her design was a little bit weird. And then I also felt like Dash seemed a little taller and like slightly different proportions than the original movie. Totally nitpicky, but I felt like they were presenting him a little differently. And I thought that was kind of weird. But I got over it really quickly because his character was amazing. The last thing I'll say is just to hit on the music again. The fact that they continued with this kind of spy movie sound, you know, all that kind of iconic, nostalgic sound that they created in the first film, they continued in this film. They just kind of evolved it forward and gave it a new edge, and I loved it. I thought it played perfectly, and the sound quality of the music mixed with the special effects just really helped to drive the action in the story. I honestly think this is one of the best sequels that Pixar has ever done. And I know that a lot of people are tiring of Pixar sequels, but I hope it doesn't turn people off from seeing this movie, because they definitely need to, because I think it absolutely stacks up with the original movie, and it may even be better. I think this movie is phenomenal. Very entertaining. I think it's hilarious. I think it's funnier than the first one. And I can't wait to see it again.
Nice. Well, that concludes this episode of Podketeers. If you guys have any thoughts, I think Gavin hit on everything I wanted to talk about. You all hit on things I wanted to talk about. Just to comment on a few things that you said, Gavin. Dash, I think they presented him in that way because, you know, he's becoming a teenager. He's, you know, growing up. He did seem a little bit more muscular in the shoulder area than he did in the first one. So I
because
think
he ate
that's
his
what bothered me.
vegetables. You saw the
he
scene.
did, yeah.
He ate all those vegetables.
Just like Jack was gnawing on the broccoli. Man, where do I start? You guys hit on so many great points about it. I'll start with this. Quick nod to The Outer Limits, one of my favorite shows of all time. the fact that they had a little nod to it, that we control the horizontal, we control the vertical. It's like, it's the outer limits, yeah! I kind of freaked out when I saw that. The animation, you guys touched on it. The water itself, the scenes, it just all seems so real. You know, there was one scene where they were doing Helen's makeup to appear on the TV show. The shot and how they lit it of the makeup artist putting the makeup on Helen, like I could have sworn it was a photograph for a second. Like right when you glance at it, it didn't seem like an animated sequence. It was just so amazingly lit. It was so well done. It's beautiful. Evelyn, yeah, the like you said, the most contemporary of all of the characters, right? The cars, the clothing, the demeanor of people gives us an idea that this movie is taking place in the 50s or 60s. And then her dress and her hairstyle is so 80s, early 90s that it really does disconnect you from that character a little bit. She does seem out of place, but I can only say that it was by design, right? Because they wanted you to feel that something was off with her from the very beginning, because her dialogue when she's talking to Helen, there's always that like, oh, but you know, you're kind of in the front now. You're no longer in his shadow. So there was always these one-liners that she would throw out that just didn't feel right. You know, like Devin would say one thing, or what was his name?
Something DeVoe,
Winston.
right?
Winston, yeah. So Winston, her brother would say something.
As I call him, Alistair Cray.
Alistair Cray. So Winston would say something, and he'd be so excited about this whole superhero thing that's going on, and then she'd come back with this one-liner that's like, yeah, he lives in a dream world, I'm more realistic, whatever, right? So she seemed a lot more advanced in her thinking, you know, about the world than he did, and I did like her character. It was just a very sneaky character. The twist was there. Like, it wasn't something that you saw until pretty late in the movie, and I enjoyed that, because when you feel like you figured out the film in the first 10 or 15 minutes, I feel it ruins it for you, right? You can still kind of enjoy it. You can enjoy the animation and the visuals and everything, but I didn't see this coming until way after, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Certain one-liners like, name's reflux, medical condition or superpower, you decide. Like, stuff like that, I thought was like, that's so genius. It's so gross, but so genius. The little things, like having my kids on my lap, feeding them, reading them stories, you know, singing to them, stuff like that. As a parent, you see these interactions of Bob and Jack, and it just makes you get the warm and fuzzies inside, right? You get all the feels acting up all at once. And then just the little things Jack would do, like gnaw on a piece of broccoli in the background and then just start laughing randomly because something just busted him up. Like, you're right, Jack stole the show. He's my favorite character right now in the entire film. And it's not just because he has 17 powers, which I think we've only seen really 14 of them, but whatever, I'm not counting. I would love to see like you guys mentioned, the little short films. Yeah, I'm glad that you touched on the whole aspect of sequels, because we've spent a good amount of time on this podcast. I'm not going to say bashing the sequels, obviously, because I think we've enjoyed them, but
sure,
we have talked a little bit about how we've seen so many sequels that what we wanted to see was an original story, and that's why Coco was so important to us, and it was just great to watch because it was an original story. It wasn't a follow-up to anything else that we've seen. This one, I don't know if it had anything to do with it, but when you look at the list of all of the Pixar films, when you look at the directors and the writers and the producers, there's a bit of a laundry list for each one of those. There's at least 3 or 4 producers, 1 or 2 directors, but when you look at Incredibles 1 and you look at Incredibles 2, one name, Brad Bird.
The man, the myth, the legend.
And so I don't know if it has why this story felt so much truer to the first one and felt like a true continuation, where the story didn't seem like it was a cash grab. Like, it didn't seem like, hey, let's just make a sequel because we want to add this land at California Adventure and it fits what we're doing. This truly felt like this was written with the first one. He ran out of time, and then 14 years later, he just had time to film the second half of his story. Like, that's just what it felt like to me. It was so well knit into the fabric of the original one that Edna would be proud of how that was done.
I totally forgot to bring this up. The Screenslaver's cage trap.
Oh, yeah.
That was amazing. And right
Well,
before
Evelyn's
Helen
trap.
goes into there. Huh?
How about Evelyn's trap, you mean?
Yeah, Evelyn's trap.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's a little clock right before Helen goes into the trap itself.
Yeah.
It was that a hidden Mickey?
It
Yeah.
Because
kinda
it
looked
had
like
the three circles, and
Well,
We saw it, yeah.
I can
saw
tell
it.
you
Okay.
that
I was
my
like,
youngest son
"Enemy."
pointed that out.
Nice.
Really?
My youngest son pointed at it, and I heard him whisper to Lynette, "Mom, that's a hidden Mickey."
That's
We
amazing.
did the same thing. Me and my niece were like, "What? Did we? Was that it?" Or like, "Oh, that
Yeah.
was so cool."
Okay, so I gotta ask, guys, because I didn't see it. I paid as close attention
Pizza
as
Planet
possible. That's what I was gonna ask. Where's the Pizza Planet truck?
It's in there.
Right.
It's got to be, right? I
Well,
didn't
was it
see
in the first one?
I saw A113.
Yeah,
it?
but
We saw A113 twice.
Oh, we saw it at the end. I didn't see the first time.
Wait,
was
the Pizza
on-
Planet
I saw
truck's not in the
two.
first one?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Brad Bird said he did not include it.
Is that the only one that doesn't have it?
And I think Good Dinosaur.
yeah,
Well, it makes sense in that
Yeah.
movie.
no
Huh.
cars, So
Well, I mean, in Brave, they had a wooden
Yeah.
figure of it.
the little toy.
Wooden
Yeah.
car.
It's
Yeah.
true.
I mean, she was a time traveler, so I get that. It would kind of make sense, right, if this one didn't have the Pizza Planet truck, because if you think of the whole Pixar theory, the whole Pixar timeline and stuff like that, technically this is happening years before Toy Story would have been around. So I guess it makes sense if he did exclude it from this one.
So it's like the 60s, right? Because like with all the
I
furniture.
would say it's like 50s,
and
60s,
50s,
yeah.
60s. Well, I love the Johnny Quest. Like when we were watching Johnny Quest, I was
Oh,
like, I
yes!
used to watch that all
Yes!
the time. That was cool. But with the technology, with the computers and everything, I was like, wait, what era is this really supposed
Yeah,
to be?
they've always
me and
mixed
AJ and
that
our
up.
friends were always saying, we were talking about like, just wow, that's technology is a little more far advanced than 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
But
They've
so yeah,
always
that's why I
kind
don't
of
think it would be part of the timeline of Pixar
right.
theory.
I agree with that. And they've always kind of fudged that timeline, because even in the original one they had computers, but everything was designed like it was in the 50s.
Right.
And I think this one's kind of more the same. And Hazen, you mentioned Evelyn's look and her design, and I actually saw it as much more of a kind of an early 60s mod look than an 80s, 90s look, because
interesting.
a lot of those looks in the 80s and 90s were taking their cues from the 60s.
From the 60s.
There was a big retro trend that happened in that time period. So a lot of those looks had been done before. They were just recycled and rebranded, basically. So that's kind of how I saw her. I really dug the Screenslaver idea for a villain. I do think that it was interesting that we really didn't have what felt like an actual villain to stand in front of you. We didn't have Syndrome, and we didn't have Bon Voyage, and that was an interesting take, that they could make this really compelling story, but this villain was really kind of the mist, smoke and mirrors, basically. And I thought that was kind of a neat take, because you would have expected them just to have a villain, like they had the Underminer in the beginning.
Right.
And I kind of thought maybe he would become the main villain of this whole movie, but he's kind of dispatched with rather quickly, and then they move on to Screenslaver. And I kind of liked the idea behind it, because it kind of took on this idea of mass control and the hypnotic effect that it had, and it kind of made it more dastardly and more evil in a way. And I thought they did a great job with that. The other thing I want to bring up is we hit on all of the other heroes that were brought in. I love the fact that they introduced several new characters, but none of them were main characters, so it didn't feel like we had to really learn a whole new cast of people. Kind of like in Cars 2, where it felt like, oh my gosh, there's so many new characters to learn, and it kind of got overwhelming. In this one, they all kind of played smaller roles. They all kind of served the main purpose, but you didn't feel overwhelmed. So you kind of got to just enjoy a lot of these new heroes. And I loved what they did with Void and her power, and especially when she starts to partner up with Elastigirl in the climactic scene at the end. I thought that was really fun to watch play out. But I think my favorite of those characters was Crusher. I just liked him. He just seemed so classic, and he.
You want me to uncrush?
Yeah, he's like, what if someone asks you to unpunch? What do you do? I love it. It's so genius, and I love that he just kind of uses the force to just crush things in front of him, and I just thought that was so just basic and beautiful of a just a side superhero character. I really enjoyed him. So. I mean, I thought they did such a good job incorporating those characters to that level, but not to a level where you had to really invest yourself in them. So, I mean, kudos to those writers. They really wrote a pretty seamless script and story that just flowed so wonderfully.
To the writer.
Yes.
Brad Bird.
The writer.
Yeah.
Nice job,
You know,
dude.
I was reading an article that said that Brad Bird went through 4 iterations of the story before he landed on the current version.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's interesting that he wanted a villain that wasn't necessarily a villain, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that right after The Incredibles is when we hopped into the MCU, right? So he didn't want to have to do just another superhero movie, even though it was animated versus live action. What really sets this film apart is the fact that it's not a bunch of guys and girls just suiting up and going to fight crime. It's a family, you know, with different age groups that you can clearly see, and how even when you go like firefighters, police officers, you know, you bond with them on a level that, you know, you don't normally bond with others because you're doing something together. You're going after a common mission. And so when you think of like the Avengers, you know, they're out trying to save the world. Yes, they've bonded. Yes, they fight, whatever the case is. But with this family, it's a completely different dynamic because it's not just the fact that they've bonded as superheroes. They have the love of a mother, a father, a son, a daughter to help them get through what they're doing. And that, I think, was, like, I think, Gavin, you're the one that mentioned it, that all the little storylines that they ended up doing on the side, like when you talked about Violet, VJ, and all that stuff, the fact that there was multiple storylines going on and you were still able to keep track of the main storyline was great. We're used to seeing that with television a lot these days. Right. And so the fact that they incorporated that into this film was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed that. And now I need to figure out how to shoot that much water out of my nose.
Just take a big gulp, dude.
Gross.
That's right.
One
take
thing
you to
I
the
want
happy
to...
plate.
Oh, go ahead, AJ.
Oh, no. I just said we could take you to the happy plate. We can make it happen.
Let's do it.
Yes.
This is
Field
wonderful tap water. Is this spring? No, tap. Huh? Fantastic tap.
Oh, Dash.
Amazing.
What were you going to say, Gavin?
One thing I want to inject as well is I absolutely love, no offense to Edna, she's a fantastic designer, but I love the updated Elastigirl outfit. That was so cool, and it just reminded me of like MCU level like technology and textures, and I just thought it was really cool and slick. And she was always my favorite Incredible before this movie came out. Sorry, but Jack it has my #1 superhero spot now. But Elastigirl was always my favorite, and she killed it in this movie. I love that they made her the lead, and we just got to see so much more from her. And just the outfit is kind of like the icing on the cake. I love that kind of light gray and red look. Just so cool. Very good design work.
Yeah. It
I
is
just
very
didn't
sleek
like
looking.
the camera that I could see that black spot
Oh,
on her
yeah.
suit. I was like, why couldn't the camera be in her logo? Like, why is
Right,
it right
true.
there on the left side? I'm like, is that a fly? Knock it off.
It looked like a hole.
Yeah. Well, we do know that Edna Mode does make the best suits because that suit did tear.
True.
That's true, it
That's
did.
very true. Good
Ooh,
point.
And me
She
and-
was all mad.
Me and AJ were talking, or AJ brought it up when we were watching it, or when we got out the movie. We were like, wait, didn't Jack Jack already have a suit? But then he got an
Yes.
upgraded suit because now there's so many different powers because Edna Mode
Yeah,
made a suit that could basically whatever happens, you know? But now that she's seen 17 different powers,
Yeah. The foam.
do you
The
guys think
foam,
that
yeah, tastes like raspberry. Completely edible.
So good.
What did you guys think when he like grew? You're like, oh my god, he's
Oh,
like
yes.
Ant-Man.
Yes. that
Big
was
Yeah.
baby.
That was scary.
That was so cool.
I was like, I'm not
Everything he
changing his
did.
diaper.
Everything he did was just such a surprise, and I loved how the whole family just delighted in it. It was like seeing a baby take his
Yeah.
first step and say his first word. It was just the same thing for them, and that was so fun to watch. And then just Jack's joy, and he just was having a ball the whole movie. He was just having fun. He didn't
Yeah.
know anything was like dire or dangerous. He's just doing his baby thing, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So funny.
Pew,
Like
pew
when they were
mode.
driving Mr. Incredible, their Incredicar or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they're like, who do we have? It's us, Violet, Dash, and then they look at Jack.
Yeah.
Like,
And then he
oh,
does that like
secret
weird
weapon.
interdimensional thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that was so
He's
cool.
in the fourth dimension. There he
Yeah.
is. Like how many parents would love that little like remote control thing just to see
Yes.
like put on a suit on a baby.
Yes.
The baby's gonna have a meltdown right now. Get the cookies.
Yeah, cookies.
I can't wait
what
to
does
try
he
those
call
cookies.
him?
Huh?
What does he call him? Cha-Cha want a cookie? Because he
Yeah.
doesn't say Jack Jack, right? No,
Yeah.
but he says like Cha-Cha.
cha-cha.
Yeah, like Cha-Cha want a cookie?
Yeah.
Cha-Cha want a cookie?
The Num Num cookies. Oh, I can't wait to try those chocolate chip cookies when
Yeah.
Pixar Pier opens up.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
seriously,
yeah,
right?
totally.
If they don't ask me if Cha-Cha wants a cookie, I'm not going to buy it.
So do you think, Gavin, you said this is like the perfect ending for just the two for Incredibles? You wouldn't want to see a third? At the end credits, you see, what's his name?
Underminer.
The villain, Underminer. He pops
Yeah.
up at the very, very end. I'm like, to me, I thought this was like a perfect middle movie for a third.
I agree
mean,
with that.
I obviously, I've stated that I'm tired of all the sequels, but I still go to see them because they're made by Pixar, and Pixar has such a high standard of quality, and most of them end up being amazing. But yeah, I think this is perfect the way it is. I don't think it really begs for a third one. I could see them rolling it into a third one, but I like what the Toy Story franchise did, and they continued little stories with the short films. You know, they've had 4 or 5 different little short films, and I think they're so great, and that's such a wonderful way to just kind of let us peek back into the lives of those characters. And we don't need just film after film of these things. I think at a certain point it just becomes a little watered down. And yeah, I think, we mentioned it already, just to see a series of Jack adventures in short film format, I think would be amazing. So, push come to shove, they do a third one, of course, I'm there opening night. I love The Incredibles. Of course I'm going to go. But right now, I don't think they need to.
I didn't know if they were going to be doing a movie with Frozone. It seemed like they were doing it's almost like they were doing standalone movies with Mr. Incredible, now Elastigirl, now maybe Frozone has his own story
He
where
does have his own theme song.
Or maybe
Right?
it turns
That
into
was
like
really
Spy Kids, where the next movie's all the kids, like having to save the
That would
parents or
be
something.
cool.
oh, to save the parents.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically they
But
saved the
that's what
parents
they
this time.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that family's so BA. I love them.
I just want to see Frozone's wife. What does she look like?
I know. I
Yeah.
do too. He was
Honey?
great, and when he discovered Jack's powers, so funny.
Yeah.
I
When they
love
cut
his
away.
character.
What
Yeah.
the?
Oh, yeah.
That was perfect.
We
And
gotta
then
go
you got
see it
this
again.
demon baby. It's like-
So good.
So, Melissa, you saw it in 3D. Would you recommend it in 3D?
Yes,
Cool.
because the action scenes are really superb. When she's flying out and with the motorcycle, it is so good.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk much about that motorcycle.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Did you guys watch that and feel like they took inspiration from Tarzan's scene where he's like going through the vines almost? Because it seemed like there was so much of the action and the movement in. You guys are all shaking your head, but
I'm saying
Not even a
no.
little bit.
I mean,
You know
now,
what I-
now that you mention
Really?
it, I can see it. It didn't come to my mind though.
there's so much of how the camera moved and shifted and how she would bounce from one thing to another and how slick it was that I felt like they looked at that and thought, okay, well, let's do this on a motorcycle.
Nope. I got Mission Impossible vibes.
Yeah, but that felt. I guess so.
I got a little bit of a Tron vibe, but other than that, like that scene was kind of a mixture of Tron and Spider-Man, but I mean, really, I felt like it was really unique in the way that they designed that action, and I didn't like as I watched it. Like now that I think about it, I can kind of compare it to things, but as I watched it, it felt totally new.
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel
Yeah.
like I'd seen a motorcycle scene like that with a superhero before, and the way that bike can separate and allow her stretching abilities to be an added benefit to what the bike can do and what she can do with it was very clever and in a way that didn't seem obvious that they were just creating a new toy. You know, I thought that it ended up being a very cool, compelling, viable vehicle for her to use and a vehicle for the story as well. So I don't know. To me, I loved it. And the fact that she was so excited about it, and initially Bob was like a little envious, like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't have my credit card anymore, but you get a bike? Like, what the heck? It was so cool.
Oh, and it's electric. What
And-
does that mean? Psh, it means it's
More
torquey.
torquey.
And you gotta love Dash's instant obsession with the Incredicar. That was
Yeah.
the
Yes.
coolest. And when he summons it at the very end, he's like, "Yes, my sweet ride's here." I loved it.
Since you're talking about Dash, a quick side note. I've had moments like Bob had with Dash. It's like, how did they change math? Why would they do this? Math is math. They've changed math to Common Core.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
having to relearn the structure of how the schools want kids to do math going forward, I've had to go on YouTube and read articles about how to do Common Core math so that he doesn't get it wrong. Because
Wow.
if you teach him how to do it your way and he does it that way, he will get it marked incorrect.
Even if
Yeah.
he gets the right
Paper.
answer?
Yeah.
Even if he gets the right answer,
Still
he
the
has
right-
to
right
follow
is
the
right.
structure of Common Core.
Yeah, what?
That's what I
No.
said,
They
and
wanna
that was
see the
Bob's
work.
argument, right? It's like math is math, but I know the frustration because I've been through it. Any parents that have children around that age and have to learn Common Core, you guys know the struggle.
I don't even know
Hashtag
what
the
you're
struggle
talking
is
about.
real.
I want to take the book and just smack it against your head because I don't know why they had to do that.
I know
That's
it's
crazy.
I'm not a
ridiculous.
parent, but working at a school, you have to learn it like this really fast to be able to help them out because,
Yeah.
it's a headache.
It is. All right, guys. I think that is going to top off our talk on The Incredibles 2 for today. But if you guys have any thoughts on, The Incredibles, what your favorite parts were, your favorite characters, join the conversation over on Instagram, Facebook, or on Twitter. We are at Podketeers. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what your favorite Jack moment was.
Took the
I'm
words out of my mouth.
curious. Yeah, what was your favorite Jack moment?
Or
Leave
favorite
a comment
power.
with that. Or favorite power. That's a good one too. Yeah, before we close up the podcast, again, thank you very much to Nick, Panic City, for creating our new theme song. Super excited about it. I feel like our identity is complete now. I feel that as we level up and we go into this next chapter of Podketeers, I'm hoping that all of our bucket list items come true. So with that said, I know that the FGP Squad had a sneak preview of the theme song about a week and a half before this episode launched, and if you guys want exclusive content like that, additional episodes, little side talks that we have, join the FGP Squad. What does FGP Squad stand for? Well, we call them our Fairy Godparents for the podcast, but they've dubbed themselves the FGP Squad. You can give as little or as much as you want monthly, but for a contribution of at least $5 a month, you also get the exclusive Fairy Godparent button. We are in talks to tier out the Fairy Godparent program so that you can choose which level you want to contribute at, and it will have different perks associated with it. More on that will be coming up soon. If you want more information, head over to podketeers.com/FGP. You'll find all the information there, plus a list of our current Fairy Godparents. If you click on their names, it'll take you over to any project that they're currently associated with. So go give them a shout out, check out what they're doing. Another great way to help out the podcast is if you shop on Amazon, start that purchase next time by going to podketeers.com/Amazon and clicking on the giant Amazon button on that page. Doing so will take you over to Amazon using our special link, and anything that you purchase will earn us a small commission as a thank you from Amazon because you took the time to do those extra clicks and make your purchase using our special link. To everyone that's currently doing that, we just want to say thank you for your added support as well. Remember, we are officially signed up for the Chalk Walk, so if you guys want to join Team Boat Willie this year as we try to raise some money to help the Children's Hospital of Orange County, you can head over to teamboatwillie.com or just go to the Podketeers website and click on the Team Boat Willie page on the top of the website. There you'll find a little bit more information about what Team Boat Willie is, what our plans are, and a link to do one of two things. You can either join Team Boat Willie and help us raise money as a team member, walk with us the day of the Chalk Walk, or if you like, just contribute a few bucks to our mission of raising $5,000 to help Chalk this year. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot us a message at comments@podketeers.com or send us a message on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you have about joining the team, donating, or if you can, just help, repost the link. That would be really helpful for us as well. We're also getting ready to do like a questions episode. So if you guys have any questions that you want to ask us about the parks, traveling, attractions, anything that you guys want to ask, send us a question to comments@podketeers.com, or you can post your question on any of our social networks. You can send us a DM if you like, or if you see any of us in the parks, ask us a question and we'll jot it down for that upcoming episode. And I'm excited about those. I love when we get a chance to just interact with the listeners and answer their questions. So shoot those over to us as well. Woo! It's tacos and beer time, guys.
Nice.
Anything else before we close up this episode?
I'm just still trying to figure out this Common Core math stuff.
It's crazy, right?
I Googled it.
Isn't it crazy?
Hit me up. I will help you.
You're so lucky you don't have to learn any of that. It's so ridiculous.
That's hilarious.
Ooh.
I don't like it. All right, guys. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. So until next week, here is to beers, cheers, and Mickey ears. Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Stay super.
Bye. Aww.
Bye.